Alright, so I'm going to be going over some basic stretching strategies and exercises today. Obviously with the quarantine, classes aren't on anymore, but this is a good chance for you to work on your basics at home until classes come back on again. So one of the basic things you need to learn for Kung Fu is a baseline of flexibility. That's going to help you do some of the more acrobatic moves later on. It's going to give you a bigger range of motion.
Before we start the video, a quick disclaimer. If you look on YouTube, you'll find dozens of videos with titles like how to get the splits in a week with these 5 flexibility hacks. The truth is that gaining flexibility takes time and effort, which is what the words Kung Fu translate to, something achieved over time through hard work and through enduring difficulties. There's no real shortcut to getting the splits, it just takes a lot of stretching. With that in mind, this isn't the way to get the splits, these are just a few exercises I find useful.
So, let's get started.
So before we get started with the stretching, you want to make sure you're all warmed up. One of the best ways to do this is just to go for a 10-minute run. Other ways you could do it is you could do some forms, you could do some frog jumps. It doesn't really matter as long as you're working the legs and getting yourself nice and warm. Okay, this first stretch is for your hamstring, so you want to lift your leg up onto a chair or table, make sure your bottom foot is facing forward and then just lean into it. After a while you want to switch your foot so it's facing sideways so you can get a different stretch. And then after you've done that, make sure you do the other leg as well. So this next stretch is going to be for your calf muscle. So you want to lift your toes up onto a wall or another low object and then just lean into the stretch and you should feel it down your calf muscle. And of course you want to make sure you're doing that on both sides as well. So after you've stretched for 30 seconds or so, switch to the other leg, do the same there. A quick stretch for the quads. Try and push your hips forward if you can. And then do the same on the other side. The next stretch is just a basic reaching down towards your toes. Try and keep your back straight, keep your knees straight, and then just reach down as far as you can go. Next, we're stretching off your quads and hip flexors. Keep your back heel off the ground and make sure your back is upright. And you're just going to switch down, knee on the floor, leaning forward. Hold each of these stretches for about 20 to 30 seconds, and you're going to switch sides, do the exact same thing on the other side. Back heel off the floor, back upright. After about 20-30 seconds, kneel down, and then just lean forward. And then next we're going to go on to the front splits.
In my experience, it can be really useful to put a shoe or something similar behind your back leg to stop it from shifting out of line, and that's going to make sure that you don't injure yourself during the stretch. Alright, so another note before we start doing the front splits, something I really like to use is isometric stretching. And what that means is, so imagine these are my legs here, so I'm going to start lowering myself into the splits, and then what we're going to do is I'm going to tense the underside of my legs, like my hamstrings, for 15 seconds. So imagine you're pushing your front foot into the floor, you're trying to squeeze like this, right? And you're going to squeeze that for 15 seconds, then you're going to relax and go a little bit deeper into the stretch, and then you're going to do the opposite, you're going to squeeze the opposite way. So imagine you're trying to lift your feet up from the floor like this, and really tense and hold that for 15 seconds, and then relax, and then you're going to relax as deep down as you can go into the stretch, and then hold that for 20 odd seconds.
You can see I've got my shoe behind my back leg to keep it straight. That makes sure I don't injure myself as I go down into the splits. Then at the bottom of that, you're just going to push your front heel into the floor, so you're tensing your hamstring. Hold that, then relax, and then do the opposite side. So now you're trying to lift your front heel off of the floor using the opposite muscles. Hold that for a few seconds and then relax into the bottom of the stretch. And then put your arms out to the sides so you're not supporting any of your body weight using your arms.
Alright, Alright, so just so that the video isn't too long, I'm only doing the splits on one side, but you want to be doing the same thing with the other leg, and then you want to repeat that over again a couple of times, because you're only going to reach your maximum stretch on the third or fourth set. Now you've done the front splits a couple of times, we're going to move on to the side splits. So at this point, you're probably getting a little bit cold because you've been stretching for a little while, so it can be good to warm up again quickly, do a run around the room, maybe do one of your forms a couple of times.
Once you're warm again, you can go into this squat and then push your knees out using your elbows to get a stretch on the hips, just to open them up. And then you can go into a poo-boo, keep your back upright and keep both heels on the floor, and then just go down as low as you can. Then switch sides, same thing, keeping both heels on the floor. And then just keep switching sides. This next one is a stretch for your groin and your glutes. So you're just going to put one leg straight out behind you and the other one hooked in front of you, and then sit down into that. And then just do the same thing on the other side. This next one is called a butterfly stretch. So you want to bring in your heels towards your groin and then push down on your knees to try and get a stretch on your groin muscles. I find it can help if you've got a wall behind you so that you don't end up scooting backwards. And then you're going to lean down towards your toes to try and get a bit of a different stretch.
Alright, so onto the side splits. We're going to start off with a preparatory exercise, and then once you've done that, you're going to go down as low into the side splits as you can, and then you're going to do something very similar to what you did with the front splits, where you're going to tense your muscles like you're trying to push your feet into the ground for 15 seconds, then you're going to relax for about 5 seconds, and then you're going to try and push your feet the opposite way, like you're trying to push your feet up into the air, and tense and hold that for 15 seconds, and then relax, and then go down into your stretch.
Just before going into the splits, you've got one more exercise. So just get on all fours and lift your leg up to the side, tensing your glutes. And you're going to hold that for about 20 seconds or so. Do it on the other side, do the same thing. Make sure you're really tensing and engaging those glutes. And just do that a couple of times on each leg. Then you're going to go straight from that down into the splits as far as you can go. Once you're at the bottom, push your feet into the floor and hold that for about 15 seconds. And then do the same on the other side, like you're lifting your feet up from the floor. After you've done that, just relax as far as you can go into the stretch. So after you've held that stretch for a little bit, you're going to tuck your hips back, sit on your butt, and then you're going to lean forwards and try and touch your chest to the ground as far as you can go.
Alright, so then you want to repeat that a couple of times, about 4 times is probably good, and you'll find that each time you go into the splits, you'll be able to go a little bit deeper down, a little bit further into the stretch, and then around the 4th one, you'll reach your maximum stretch. So going down into the side splits like that by yourself is great. What's even better is if you've got someone who can help push you down into the splits, like this. Or like this. Obviously, you want to be sensible with this kind of stretching. You don't want to get injured through it, so Let your partner know where your maximum stretch is, so they don't injure you. Stretching does hurt, and if it doesn't hurt, you're not stretching hard enough, but there's a difference between the pain of stretching and the pain that's injuring you. Alright, so that's the whole stretching routine. Try and follow this 3 times a week. If you can do it every day, that's even better. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys when this whole thing is blown over, back in class with some improved flexibility and a strong attitude. Alright, that's it.